19th century, Manhattan, New York, Spain, Gotham, Rip Van Winkle, The Headless Horseman, and The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. What do all these have in common? If you guessed Washington Irving, then you guessed right. Born on April 3rd, 1783, in Manhattan, New York, Washington Irving was an American author of the early 19th century. Washington Irving's parents were Scottish-English immigrants. They settled in Manhattan, New York City, and were part of the merchant class. Before Irving was born, his parents had 10 other children, but only 7 of whom survived, as their first 2 sons and 4th son died in infancy. In the week that Washington Irving was born, they had just learned about the ending of the American Revolution. Therefore, Irving's mother named him after the iconic Revolution leader, George Washington. Washington Irving was educated privately. Upon graduation in 1798, he went to study law and began to write essays for periodicals. From 1804 to 1806, Irving traveled to Europe to further his education. While he was there, he collected materials that would end up in his stories later on in his life. When he returned to the United States, he was readmitted to the bar, but he lost interest in the career and turned towards literature. The term Romanticism was unknown to Americans until the European Romantic movement reached the United States in the early 19th century. The Romantic movement allowed the New England Transcendentalists and the idea of Transcendentalism to rise up. Both Transcendentalism and Romanticism introduced a new concept into the American culture, as both ideas focused on feeling over reason and individual freedom of expression over tradition and custom. After working for his brother's business in England, which resulted in bankruptcy in 1815, Irving turned to writing to make a living, and so he managed to work on what now is his most famous book, The Sketchbook of Geoffrey Crayon, which is a collection of stories and essays that includes world-renowned The Legend of Sleepy Hollow and Rip Van Winkle, both of which contains romantic elements such as celebration of nature, romantic virtues such as simplicity, and a milder form of romanticism such as sentimentalism. Also, partly as a result of the War of 1812, Americans became more nationalistic and eager to read American-themed works by American authors, and most of, if not all of, Irving's works were based on and used American settings. This made Washington Irving not only one of the most influential authors of the Romantic movement and Romantic literature, but also a well-loved American author. He also helped the Transcendentalist authors such as Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau to create and form a literature that was distinctively American. Besides his successful career of writing, in 1842, President John Tyler appointed Washington Irving as U.S. Ambassador to Spain. During his time in Spain, he helped negotiate American trade interests with Cuba and also followed the Spanish Parliament's debates over slave trade. One of his last acts as the U.S. Ambassador in Spain was to assist in negotiating the Anglo-American disagreement over the Oregon border. After he returned to the U.S. in 1846, he permanently resided at his estate called Sunnyside in Tarrytown, New York, where he focused on historical and biographical work. His very last piece of work is a 5-volume biography of George Washington. Washington Irving passed away due to a heart attack on November 28, 1859, at the age of 76, in which it is rumored his last words were, "Well, I must arrange my pillows for another night. When will this end?" He is buried at Sleepy Hollow Cemetery in Sleepy Hollow, New York. Besides the legend of Sleepy Hollow, Washington Irving left behind multiple legacies. Some of these legacies are the honorary title of First American Man of Letters and Father of American Short Stories, as he was the first American to achieve international fame through writing, as well as completely basing his living from writing and for introducing the concept of short stories into the American culture. He was a strong advocate for writing as a legitimate career, argued for stronger laws to protect writers from copyright infringement, as well as an advocate for the unfair treatment of Native Americans. Other legacies include popularizing the nickname Gotham for New York City, which nowadays is used in Batman comics and movies. All in all, Washington Irving has lived a successful life as an American author, ambassador, and reformer, and is without a doubt an irreplaceable part of American history.